So I recently got an order to make a bunch of little mini king cakes for a friend of mine. And it occurred to me that I've never made a video on how to make a king cake. So we're going to make king cakes today. So I'm going to start with 2/3 of a cup of milk that I've heated up on the stove until it's just warm. It's not hot, it's not boiling, it's just warm. To that I'm going to add 6 tablespoons of sugar and 2 packets or 2 tablespoons of yeast. And I'm just going to whisk that together. And then we're going to set it aside so the yeast can bloom. This is going to take about 10 minutes. And then we'll be back. So our yeast has bloomed. Now we're going to work on the rest of our ingredients. I have 2 cups of yogurt. I'm using a Greek honey vanilla because I like the flavor that it gives to it. Feel free to use any yogurt you want as long as it's not fat. Does that make sense? It has to be fat, full yogurt, not fat-free. I'm going to add 4 egg yolks, 4 teaspoons of butter that I've melted and cooled, and a teaspoon of vanilla. Or, I'm sorry, 2 teaspoons of vanilla. 2. I'm going to whisk all of this together. And now I'm going to add my bloomed yeast. You can see how it's puffier than it was when we started. It's because it's bloomed. We're going to add this. If at this stage you're making it and your yeast does not bloom, stop. Your yeast is dead and you should start over and get new yeast, which has happened to us before. All right, now in my mixer, I have 6 cups of flour with my dough hook. I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of nutmeg. And we're just going to turn this on to stir real quick. Now, while it is stirring, I'm going to slowly add in our yogurt mixture. I'm going to speed it up just a little. We're trying to get it to mix the rest of the flour in with the wet ingredients. All right, it's not working. So I'm just gonna come in here and stir it up a little to try to get it back on track. Well, it's mixing the flour in. It's also throwing the flour out. All right, so it's mostly mixed in. What I'm gonna do now is turn it up to high, and we're gonna let it knead with the bread hook for 5 minutes. So our mixer has been doing all the work and kneading our dough for about 5 minutes. Now I'm gonna take a large bowl, and I'm just gonna spray some oil in the bottom so that the dough doesn't stick. I'm also going to spray some on my hands. And then we're going to pour the dough in, basically. With a little help. Yes, it's a wet dough. It's not like bread. All right, and then we're going to set this aside in a warm, non-drafty area for about 2 hours. And then we'll be back to roll it out, fill it, and bake it. So we're making king cake, right? And I need green, purple, and gold sugar. For some reason, everyone's out of green sugar. So I'm going to learn, well, I'm going to teach you how to make sanding sugar on your own, so in case you can't find the color you're looking for. So I have a cup of sugar in the bottom of my pie plate. I'm just going to take regular food coloring and drop it on here. 5 or 6 drops, and then we're going to stir it in. You can use a spoon. I prefer to use my fingers because I think it works better. And you can get it to the right color that you want. I think that's a little too light, so I'm going to add some more. And there we are. Now we have green sanding sugar. Now I need to let this sit for about an hour so it dries and it's not wet when we apply it. And then we're ready to go. So the dough to our king cake has risen, it's double in size, and now we have to make the filling. I have a pound of cream cheese. To that I'm going to add a stick of butter that's softened. Both are at room temperature. That's important. Then I'm going to add a cup of powdered sugar. Six tablespoons of brown sugar. And a tablespoon of cinnamon. I'm going to start off slow. And then increase speed. And then I would put it at the highest and let it mix for about 3 minutes. All right, our filling has been mixing for 3 minutes. Now we are going to give it a last stir. Make sure everything's incorporated. And then roll out our dough. set that aside. I'm going to take my flour and lightly dust the area. We're going to pour our dough out. Add some more flour so it's not so sticky. Got to get all the way around. So your king cake dough is going to be super long because what you're going to do is roll it out and then roll it up and then make it a circle. You kind of need the space to make it longer. All right. I want to make sure that I can pick it up and it's not going to fall apart on me. All right, so I'm going to take my filling, spoon it out. And take an offset spatula, and I'm just going to spread the filling out over the layers. Some more over here. That's a big old chunk. So you want to spread it evenly so that you don't have some places that are just super thick and some that are super thin. All right, now, you gotta hide the baby. So if you want to know where your baby is, put it at one of the ends. I throw it right in the middle. And I don't know about your traditions. I have heard that the person has to bring tamales next year. I always knew it as you had to host next year if you got the baby. So, but the baby has to be in the king cake or it's not a king cake. So now we're going to roll. Okay. I have my pan that I have parchment paper on. I'm going to very carefully lift the middle because that's the hardest part. And curve it around. I think I need a bigger pan. I think I might have rolled this out a little too long, but we're just gonna kind of mush it together like that. Now we're gonna cover this and let it sit for another hour and a half so it can double in size again before we bake it. So our king cake has risen to double its size. Now we're gonna put it in a 350-degree oven for about 30 minutes, and then we'll be back. So our king cake is baked. It's a little squarer than I would normally make it, and it's not fitting in the pan. I should use a bigger pan next time. Let's put it that way. We're going to let it cool. Then we're going to ice it and put the sugar on top. So our king cake has been chilling overnight. Now it's time to make the icing for it. So in my mixer, I have 4 cups of powdered sugar. To that, I'm going to add a tablespoon of vanilla and a half of a cup of heavy cream. And we're just going to mix that up. We're going to need more heavy cream. It's too thick. So you have to do it to the consistency you like. I need mine to be able to spread. This is like piping consistency. So I'm going to add a little more heavy cream and we'll be back. So I have another 1/4 cup of heavy cream. I'm going to add that. Much better. Really need to mix this for a minute or two. Side note, you can also use milk and then use about half of what I used. You don't need nearly as much because milk is much thinner. So you can pipe on your icing, or you can just spread it on like I'm going to do. It's up to you. And this icing, once it dries, it'll harden. Well, not harden, but it will firm up. So you want to get your colored sugar on as fast as you can. I'm just going to take an offset spatula and get as much icing around as I can so that the sugar has something to stick to. And now we're just going to alternate. We're going to start with purple. I'm going to do purple in this little corner. And then gold. And then green. And we're going to go all the way around the cake, alternating in those 3 colors. Just like that. You might have noticed that I put this on a cooling rack on top of a piece of parchment paper. And that is so that anything that spills once it's dry, I can just move. I can throw the parchment paper away. We're not stuck with it. It's super easy cleanup. That and any icing that slips down goes straight to the parchment paper too, and it doesn't pool. And there we have king cake. I would give this about 2 hours to let the icing set before you cut into it. So it's not the prettiest king cake I've ever made, but it tastes amazing. So our king cake has had time for the icing to set. Now we just need to cut into it.